Hello everyone. Hello. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you are all well. If you are tuning in on the replay, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you are watching. I would love to come back and say hello to you at a later date. So do let me know that you are watching if you are here. And if, of course, you are starting to hop on live as well, do give me a hello. Let me know in the comments that you are here. I would love to know that you are joining me today. Do let me know as well if you can hear my audio okay. I would love to know if you can hear and see me okay. Obviously, if you can't hear me, I can't, you're not going to be able to say I can hear you. So that's a little bit of a funny one. But I hope that everyone can hear and see me okay and that we don't have any issues with our audio today. We had a little bit of issue yesterday with our audio stream. So I'm hoping that everything is okay. Thank you, Take 100. You can hear me good on TikTok, so I am pleased about that. I'm also just going to check the stream on Facebook too, just to make sure that we can hear the audio there. Let's just check on that one. I think we might not be able to, I'm not sure. Let's just give it a go and see what happens. I'm sure we'll have some people saying if they can't hear audio. So hopefully, let's cross our fingers that is all working on that stream as well. We're of course multi-streaming to multiple platforms today. We are currently live. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that very much. We are currently live on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, and of course inside the Uncover Wealth community, my community on Facebook. So today's AMs with Annette is our UK business update. On Tuesdays, I cover off basically what has been happening in terms of UK business over the last week. We look at things like the government, the support, the banks, the economy, all those types of things. So I appreciate you joining me and tuning in. I also always appreciate the love, the shares, the hearts, the likes, all those incredible things that I know everyone sends me wherever you are watching. So I do very much appreciate that. For those of you that are new to me, don't know who I am, my name is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I am a chartered accountant, certified profit first professional and financial strategist, and I help business owners take home more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining me. I have a number of points to get through today, which I am going to hurtle through. Thank you everyone who is tuning in. FitMind, Sloento, Rav, Turquoise Island, Nadia, Ruby, Joseph, thank you everyone as they are joining in. Jambob, thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Do I have any vacancies? I don't have any current open positions at the moment, but I'm always open to discussing with great people and potentially creating a role for people. So if you are a player, if you have a strong view on your career, then feel free to drop me a DM and we can have a chat. Hey Jess, hey Lexi, thank you everyone who is tuning in and joining me. So the first thing I want to share today is that Virgin Money have said they are braced for rising mortgage defaults. They have increased their provision for defaults with fears over UK unemployment levels, and they've increased future provision for losses to 42 million to reflect their view on the weaker economic outlook. So we've got a number of the banks now saying as well that they are very worried about mortgage default rate risk, particularly for people who have already requested payment plans either for mortgages or for credit cards or personal loans. That is now causing the banks an increasing amount of worry over whether or not they will be able to afford going forward the repayments, and therefore they're having to make the provisions. Now, when the banks make provisions for increased default for lending they already have given, that means that actually their ability to lend to others and to other people decreases because they have to keep their ratios. So that does have a knock-on effect for everyone in this situation as well. Thank you everyone who is tuning in and joining me. Thank you for the chat. Let's see. So what do we have? Let's edit. Thank you for the follow. Eris, I'm really sorry that your parents are not supportive. It's very, very challenging for you, I'm sure. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. I do very, very much appreciate it. We're also hearing that the UK ministers are drawing up plans to extend the Help to Buy scheme beyond December. There was a deadline, of course, for it finishing in December, and they're planning on extending that to prevent buyers losing out due to the COVID delays that many people had when it came to purchasing property. This, of course, is a scheme that allows people in England to purchase new build houses with a very, very small deposit. So it was a positive scheme for a number of people. Other commentators said it was basically a bung to builders, but for many homeowners, it helped them get on the property ladder. So that scheme they're looking into extending that so that people who've had their plans delayed as a result of COVID can potentially still take part in that. So that's positive news as well. There's a study showing that UK workers have less leisure time than 40 years ago, but that the average paid working hours has fallen. This is particular for men, it has fallen. Actually, for women, it's increased. So women spend now 45 minutes a day longer on paid work. This is data from 2014-15 than they did in 1974. Plus, they spend half an hour extra on active childcare. So you can see with those two things added up, in fact, women have less leisure time. We're seeing that men are spending less time actually on paid work, but what we are seeing is that men are spending more time on household work. So cooking and shopping, and then also an increased amount of time in active childcare as well, leading to, in fact, people having less leisure time now than they did in 1974, which is quite amazing. And of course, with things like people having smartphones for their work, that's causing some issues as well. I'm seeing that we don't actually have any sound going to Facebook. I am sorry about that. Of course, you can't hear me say. If you can hop over to Instagram, you'll be able to check that out, or TikTok, of course. Equality massively important, absolutely. So the that study is showing that, as I say, less people have got less leisure time. The dollar has sunk to a 2-year low as investors doubt the speed of recovery from COVID, and the US economy will, they believe, underperform over this time. So we're seeing some issues there. I do find it hilarious on TikTok how people try to scare you with what might be happening behind you. There is no man behind me. The funny thing is, I think you must realize that I can see behind me in my camera too. So I know what's behind me as well at the same time. So it's very funny. I often get things like there's a cockroach behind you, there's a scorpion behind you, and all these kinds of things. I'm not sure the value in that, or what is to be achieved there, but it's really bizarre. So yeah, very, very I find that very, very strange. Thank you. Tim J saying happy to be a moderator on TikTok for me. I appreciate that, Tim. Scarlett, no, I'm not a teacher. I'm a chartered accountant, certified profit first professional, and financial strategist for businesses. So today we are covering all things UK business. Sumo wrestler behind me would be very funny. I don't know how they'd fit between my chair and the bookcase. That would be an interesting one to see. Yeah, it is annoying, little Blinky Bob. It's very strange, very, very strange. I don't understand at all. Let's see. Thunderstrike is saying, "Well, Facebook sucks." Yeah, I'm not sure why audio's not going through there. That's a bit of a pain, but hey ho, that's okay too. We'll figure that out. How are the unemployment levels right now? Unemployment is increasing at the moment. We are, we're hearing of more and more job losses. I'm going to touch on unemployment actually as one of my points to speak about shortly as well in this session. So we'll be covering off on some of the unemployment stuff. Georgia found me on here. Wonderful, Georgia. Thank you. I'm glad you found me. Thank you for tuning in. Essex Boy is saying, would I recommend registering as a sole trader or a limited company, and which so why? That entirely depends on there's a number of reasons why you'd choose one or the other. So in terms of if you're looking at a limited company, of course there is limited liability, and if you are earning profits of over around 30,000 a year, then financially it makes sense to be a limited company as well. However, it might be that you decide to go down the sole trader route, particularly if you expect to be slightly loss making at the beginning of a sole trader and you've done paid employment in the past through PAYE, you'll actually get PAYE refunds by carrying back your losses and offsetting them. So it may make sense to be a sole trader. But what I would recommend, Essex Boy, is that you speak to somebody, an accountant, to get your individual situation for what you are planning to do and your previous employment history as well, and they'll be able to advise you what would work best for your own tax position and then the vision that you have for your business as well. Now, some businesses, of course, have to set up as a limited company for their own regulatory purposes and those kinds of things. So that's something you'll need to be aware of too. Not knowing what you do and what it is you want to choose, then that's harder for me to say with that. So that's my view on that one. So what else have we got? Online retailers in the UK are facing the threat of a new sales tax as the government seeks ways to prop up high street shops. So this is the potential for a new sales tax to be introduced in the UK. The government have announced a review of business rates to reduce its burden and are suggesting that an online sales tax could provide, and this is a quote from the Treasury, sustainable and meaningful revenue source for the government. There is bandied about the possibility of a 2% levy on goods bought online. This is basically so that the government can get some revenue from the increase in e-commerce that we have particularly seen over this point in time. Along with that, there are plans to abolish business rates and replace with a capital values tax, whereby the levy would be paid by the owner of the property and not by the tenant. So some changes that they are being discussed at the moment. So neither of those have been completely agreed, but there are some changes in the pipeline that are being discussed around this stuff as well. UK model, you'd have to speak to a tax advisor on your specific situation as to what you might want to do with your tax position. Criticism that borrowers were not warned for months that taking payment holidays during the coronavirus could deny them future loans. Of course, we heard at the beginning of this that we were being told that it would not affect somebody's credit rating, but it is then actually affecting how the banks view them, and therefore the banks are saying they are less likely to offer loans to people who have taken payment holidays. Makes complete sense from the bank's point of view. They wouldn't want to risk the exposure to somebody who's already done a default. Now, voluntary default and an allowed default, but a default nonetheless in the bank's eyes, and therefore there is criticism that wasn't highlighted earlier in the pandemic to borrowers. Many believe that their kind of credit worthiness would not be affected, but in reality, it has been as well. We're also seeing that I mentioned on Thursday, I think it was, that we're seeing that individuals who have taken bounce back loans through their limited companies are being turned down for mortgages. Basically, they're being looked on negatively for mortgage purposes. Again, remember that loan is through a limited company, separate legal entity, but of course the lender is saying, well, hang on, I am a bit worried here that the company is not viable to pay your salary, and therefore you may not be able to pay your mortgages in the future as well. So let's see what we've got going on in here. Let's see if we've got any questions, anything going on. Michelle, I would go to a doctor with that if I were you. So this is AMs with Annette. This is your UK business update where I'm covering all things UK business related. So thank you for joining me and thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow we have Wealth Wednesdays at the same time, where I will be covering a topic in relation to Wealth Wednesdays. So thank you for joining me and thank you for tuning in. Was 017 what's for dinner? No idea. I have to ask my husband. He does the dinner. He does the cooking, so I do not know. You are welcome, Leah Highlander. Thank you everyone who is joining in. Thank you everyone who is liking, sharing, commenting, giving me thumbs up, all those beautiful things, whichever platform you happen to be on. So thank you for that. I do very, very much appreciate it. There is a survey showing that the number of SMEs in financial distress has now risen by 16,000 since March. That almost a quarter of small businesses have already made job cuts despite the furlough scheme still being in place. We're expecting this to increase, of course, come the 1st of August as well, because we are going to see a change in the flexible furlough scheme from then, and therefore we're expecting more increases in unemployment as that time goes by. There are stats saying that we might expect up to around 5 to 6 million unemployed in the UK as a result of the pandemic, and then potentially another wave come when we actually exit from the EU as well, depending on the deals that we get, depending on the tariffs that might be in place too. It may mean that some manufacturers are unable to basically operate in the UK if the tariffs are too extreme for them to still be profitable. So unemployment wave now, potentially an unemployment wave as Brexit happens, and if a second wave of COVID happens as well, we don't know. So grim outlook for the UK employment position as well. The UK Treasury and the banks are in talks over the coming wave of bad COVID debt. Small businesses are set to default on billions of pounds worth of loans, it's believed, and more than 1 million UK small companies borrowed under the bounce back loan. The Office for Budgetary Responsibility, the OBR, expects a 40% default rate. So part of the talks are around some kind of common code in dealing with defaulters and what that actually means. The Treasury want to give defaulters some kind of extended term. The banks are saying no, because of course, that creates a problem for the banks' lending and borrowing ratios as well. So there's a lot of worry on both sides there. Yeah, exactly. Brexit will be another big factor that will impact a number of sectors. Yeah, exactly. So we are seeing, however, that the charter plane sector is recovering after the wealthy have decided to switch to private jets to avoid the risks of coronavirus on commercial airlines. The global private aviation is down just 19% on pre-COVID levels now, and some countries are still unable to travel. So that's an interesting industry that has had a bounce back quite strongly, really, from this situation as well. The UK Treasury is also said to be drawing up plans for some kind of infrastructure bank. The lender would provide billions for capital projects and partly fill the gap that would be left by the European Investment Bank as well. Ministers seeking to kickstart the British economy and the British economic recovery, of course, are putting this forward as a potential option as well. No final decision has been made, and it's unlikely that anything will be formally announced before the autumn budget happens, but this is another area that is currently in talks as well. And the latest indications from the Bank of England payment schemes show that the economic recovery that began in late April has stalled and possibly even gone backwards in July. Very, very worrying for small businesses and big businesses alike, of course, if we've got a stall in some economic recovery. The data coming out from the hospitality sector reopening predominantly in England and starting to reopen in other parts of the country as well is not showing us as big gains as they would have liked it to have shown, and therefore there's a worry about what actually is going to happen here in terms of the economic recovery as well. So thank you everyone who has joined me. Thank you everyone who is tuning in. I massively appreciate it. I'm back live again tomorrow at 11 a.m. for another installment of AMs with Annette. So I would love for you to mark it in your diaries and join me then. Tomorrow is Wealth Wednesday, so we will be covering a topic in relation to that in tomorrow's session. As I say, it's 11 a.m. whichever platform you are watching, and hopefully we can get some of the other platforms' sound to work tomorrow as well, with having our sound issue today on some of them too. Leah Highlander says, I will be here tomorrow at 11 a.m. I look forward to seeing you. That would be awesome. I can't wait for you to join me then as well. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining me. Awesome, Tim J. I am pleased that you're coming back to see us again tomorrow at 11 as well. Thank you so much for that. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I know your time is incredibly precious and I massively appreciate you spending some of it with me. So thank you for that, and I will speak to you all again really soon. Take care, everyone.